What's up guys, today we are checking out the new Xtrfy M4 Tokyo edition. The mouse is basically just the Xtrfy M4 with the EZcord Pro, which is the new cable on the MC1, so the cable is much improved from the old one. It is very flexible and also one of the best stock cables on market today. Let's quickly go through the details of the M4 and then I will talk more about the shape and what I think it's very good for. Let's start with the performance, and that has always been great with the Xtrfy mice. The click latency has always been very low and the sensor implementation is well done, the polling rate is stable and the lift-off distance is under 1 dBd. And of course, there is no acceleration or input lag of any kind. The weight of the M4 is about 72 grams and it's one of the lighter ERGO mice, which in my opinion makes it also an interesting option. The main mouse buttons of the M4 have the Omron 20Ms and these are actually very light and easy to actuate. These are good for spam clicking and the click feeling is actually quite tactile and crispy still. There is some post travel, but I would actually prefer a little bit more post travel, especially on the left mouse button that I have. The right one has a little bit more post travel and that feels softer than the left one and it feels better in my opinion. It's a little bit easier to spam because there is less feedback because of that post travel. The main mouse buttons are very good for gaming, but they do not feel that premium, although I would say that they feel more premium than most of the Omron implementations that I've tried. And in my opinion, premium click feeling is sort of the second priority. The most important thing is of course how they perform in game. Okay, let's get on with the shape, and the shape of the M4 is actually quite unique. It does divide opinions quite a bit. I've heard many people who say that they've used it for about 2 days and they did not like it at all and ended up returning it or something. But because the shape is so unique, I definitely do think that you should use this one for at least a week before you decide if it's good for you or not. For me, the shape is great because it's quite high profile, so it's good for a claw grip, and it's quite thin, which makes micro adjusting easier, in my opinion. The thing that makes the M4 very unique is that it's quite flat from the top side, and the corners on the back of the mouse are quite aggressive. Especially the back left curvature of the hump in the mouse is quite unique, and this is actually something that bothers quite a lot of people that do not like the M4. It felt quite weird on this area of my palm when I started using it, but I did get used to it in about a week. And that's on the initial review of the M4, it only took me now about 2 days to get used to the Tokyo edition. Basically the way I grip the M4 is like a reverse pincer claw, so this area of your palm is mostly touching the hump, and there is not much contact around this area of the palm. This did cause me some discomfort on the first few days I used it, but after that there was no issues. The holes on the sides do bother me a little bit, but because they are circular on these Xtrfy mice, they do not bother me as much as the standard kind of holes on normal mice like the Chivals or the final mice. The M4 is in my opinion quite good for any hand size. If you have large hands, it's very good for a claw grip. If you have medium sized hands, it's very good for a claw and palm grip. And if you have small hands, you can still claw grip it and it's good for palm grip as well. The M4 is one of my all-time favorites and I do perform very well with it in game. I would say it's definitely in the top 5 of the mice that I aim the best with. It feels very natural and precise for me in CSGO and Valorant. I feel very accurate with my one taps, and then it feels really controlled also when I'm spraying. All these in-game clips are actually from the first 2 days that I started using the M4 Tokyo edition, so if I would use it for about a week more, I would be headshotting a lot more people of course. For me, the M4 feels almost like the jack of all trades and master of all trades at the same time. Tracking and flicking just feels very natural and easy for me with this mouse. And the main reason for that is of course the shape. I already mentioned that I love that it's high profile and thin, but there are other things as well that make it very good. For example, that it's quite low profile from the front of the mouse. Some people think that this makes mice very good for aiming. I don't specifically think that all mice that are low profile from the front are good for aiming, but it for sure works with the M4 and the XM1 from EndGameGear for example, and even like the Xtrfy M42 or the Vaxi NP01S. Let's talk a little bit more about my grip with the mouse, and let's start with my pinky and my ring finger. I usually change these quite a bit with the M4. I can hold these more aggressively towards the sort of the middle of the mouse and more relaxed towards the front of the mouse, and both of these feels very comfortable. The mouse length is actually very good for relaxed claw for my 19x10cm hands. I still curve my fingers a little bit when I relaxed claw the mouse, but there is more than enough room on the front right edge of the mouse for both of my fingers to lay comfortably. Whatever the way I hold my pinky and my ring finger, my thumb is almost always in the same position, and it's actually quite aggressively holding the mouse, which helps me lift it easier and it sort of gives me more control, I would say. So yeah, I'm still a massive fan of the Xtrfy M4, But what do I think about the improvements they made with the Tokyo edition? Well, the cable is of course much better than it used to be, but I would have liked to see them ditch the hose completely, to be honest. They also could have improved the side buttons. There is quite a bit of post travel and the feeling is not high quality, but I will say that these are still good for gaming. And one thing that people of course would have liked to see is a wireless M4, but we all know that there is a component shortage and this could have caused some issues for Xtrfy as well. I do not know myself, but that's my guess. Oh, and by the way, the Tokyo edition is actually limited edition version, so there is only 5,000 available, but hopefully they actually change all the M4 versions and the M42 versions to have the EZcord Pro. They could have also improved the mouse feet, as these are not the best mouse feet with any kind of rough or textured surfaces. The experience is just very rough with those. But with control pads, and especially smooth control pads, the experience is very fast and good. But of course, I'm nitpicking with these improvements. These are not needed, but I would have liked to see those. Tokyo edition costs $70, and I have to say that it's quite expensive for a wired mouse. I would like to see this available for $60, and the value for money would be great with that. That's pretty much it for the video. In my initial Xtrfy M4 review, I mentioned that the M4 is one of the mice that I absolutely perform the best with, and it actually still is. I think it's one of the top 3 ERGO mice at the moment, and I think a lot of people would like it if they actually would spend at least that week to get used to it. Oh, and by the way, clicking the like button does do good things, as for example, Good Enough Tech Reviews clicked the like button and his channel started growing, so good for him. So don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and see you in the next one.